This is an excerpt from episode number 9 of A Beginner's Guide to Packrafting and Bikerafting, and we are speaking with Thad Ferrell, owner of Kingfisher Fly Guides and a multi-sport adventurer and guide for Four Corners Guides. In this short, we're discussing the mechanics of packraft fly fishing.
So yeah, the way it works is there may be others. To my knowledge, Aquabound is the only one that makes one like that. I think when it's put together like a kayak paddle, it's like 270 centimeters, I believe.
270? Okay, I don't think it's quite that long.
Maybe 240. I think
yeah,
it's 240.
I think it's 240.
240, sorry. And fish guiding, bigger. It cuts in part and becomes canoe style. So the way it ends up is big water, like complicated rapids. You're going to go into like C2 style. You have your rods probably stowed up, in their tubes, and still really protected. And then when the water lessens up, you can put that 240 kayak paddle together. There's definitely going to be rivers that'll have complicated rapids, but it's not going to be at high water that you're going to be in long because you want fishable flows, right? So they're usually going to be lower water is, kind of the way it works out with most rivers. High water is fun for the boaters. Lower water is when you're going to see the more fishermen.
And I imagine that it's similar to drift boating, but also different. So when you're pack rafting, like if he's taking you through a class 3 rapid and you're still able to fish, like what are some different skills that you would learn? Or like if you were taking a course, like we're going to be teaching courses in 2025, like what are the skills that you would teach someone in a packraft?
You would definitely learn, when to go into fishing mode and when to go into paddling mode. I think that would be one of the most important skills, that demarcation point of like, probably don't want to attempt this kayak style, because you got a really long boat. You do have a lot of control with that kayak paddle, but it's really more milder situations. And then when to go into paddling mode, there's like A or B, right? That would be a skill that I would definitely want people to be like aware of, because the last thing you want to do is like take a swim while you're fishing, right? I mean, you got your rod, you got way too much stuff going on. That would be a definite skill. And then the skill of, the oarsman, the guide, as it were, the guy in the back when you're in fishing mode, how to maintain that line, of keeping the speed up of a drift. That's not something a lot of paddlers are used to, especially. So, how many times we teach paddling in whitewater, like the back paddle is a no-no? Mm-hmm. That's kind of something different, maybe, with the kayak, because you want to slow the boat.
With the forager.
Yeah, with the forager, you want to slow that boat down so you get an effective drift, right?
Interesting. So
that's kind of a different thing, and that's something I had to, that's something I learned just experimenting with it.
Do you think, I'm just curious, I have no idea because we haven't really even talked about how we're going to do this yet, but like if you're learning how to do a single person packraft, is that going to be pretty different from learning to paddle a forager?
There'll be similarities. I would say there's more similarities than differences. The big one would be if someone doesn't come from, an oaring background, on a raft or a drift boat, say, that's, even if I had like a whitewater oarsman, like a whitewater guide versus a fly fishing guide. Fly fishing guides are constantly back rowing, and that's a kind of not a skill that's really taught in whitewater oaring as much. It's more the push, right? There's definitely some back rowing involved, but like with fly fishing, if you're learning how to, oar a fly fishing rig, it's all about maintaining and slowing the boat down so your people front and back can get effective drift, or holding a line. with the whitewater, it's about just getting through the rapid, right?